9 months before his trip to the Directorate of Overseas Surveyors in Tolworth, England for studies. This was on the 18th of December in 1948. My dad started his career as a civil servant in the then Northern Nigerian government in Kaduna, where he served as a lecturer in photogrammetry and air photo interpretations, that is, aerial surveyors, in several institutions, including the Survey Institute in Kaduna. In January 1966, the Nigerian military struck. At the build-up to the crisis that led to the Nigerian Civil War, and before the crisis went out of hand in Kaduna, Dad made a request for transfer. By October 10, 1966, he was transferred to the Ministry of Town Planning, Eastern Regional Government in Enugu, Nigeria. By July 1967, the Nigerian Civil War started. Within the Biafran enclave, especially in Enugu, a massive search for saboteurs, as well as the rise in hostilities, forced him and others to run for safety back to his hometown in Buguma City. Keep in mind that as at May 27, 1967, Rivers State was created, and he was amongst indigents who were drafted into the Rivers State Civil Service, where he resumed at the then Military Governor's Office, Lands and Surveyors Department, and then the School of Surveyors and Town Planning, Port Harcourt, and also at the Faculty of Environmental Sciences, Survey and Estate Department, Rivers State University of Science and Technology, Port Harcourt, as it then was, where he served the Rivers State government. He retired precisely on the 1st of June 1984 after exactly 35 years of active service to fatherland. Having retired on June 1, 1984, we remained quartered in the government-owned department until about 1985 when we moved out. At this time, I was about 10 years old. It was prior to this time that a much older neighbor took me into their own flat apartment and foisted on me a blow-job expedition that turned out a failed attempt, foiled by my inexperience, foiled by the fact that I was just a child. Interestingly, I didn't even know that what I was brought into was either abominable or abusive. Nobody had prepared me for this. Yet, this one exposure led to several other exposures that changed the narrative of my life. I cannot tell the exact day and time. It's the reason I will always say it was before I was 10 years old, because this definitely had happened several months before we left that apartment. This seeming harmless exposure led to a paralyzing slavery. As a matter of fact, going forward, maybe 7 to 8 to 10 years later, I was now a coordinator of an house fellowship. So on Sunday evening, I went for this house fellowship meeting, and when we were done, on my way out of the apartment, as I went down the staircase, I stumbled on a video device, we call it video compact disc at the time. It was just there on top of this debris under the staircase, and it caught my attention. What even caught my attention the more was the fact that the graphics on the video compact disc, we call it VCD, showed people, nude people in very sexual, some kind of sexual activity. And for me, I've never had at the time of pornography. I don't think that was what it was called at the time. It was heard of a blue film, which was what it was called at the time. I'd never heard of it. I didn't know they existed. I didn't know nothing about it, completely blank. And so when I saw this, I wanted to know what it was about. So I picked it up and I left with it. Got home, put it on a device, watched that movie, and guy, that as a matter of fact, the content of that material had a relationship. I could see what my neighbor tried to get me involved in. It's like eating the knowledge of good and of evil. I had come to be aware of what he was trying to do, but the point is that exposure introduced me to a season in my life where I was grossly addicted to pornography, to masturbation, and to every kind of sexual activity. Trust me, you don't want to leave me by myself or with certain kind of people. Even if we were in a religious environment, even if we were in a church premises or compound, you don't want to leave me by myself. You don't want to leave me by the side of certain persons, because something will go wrong. That is how bad I was enslaved and consumed by what it is. Like I said, this one exposure led to so many exposures. This seemingly harmless exposure leading to a paralyzing slavery. How I journeyed out of that slavery, and how the system that helped me break out of that lifestyle has helped several others is what the book Prison Break and what this program, this class, this course, the Behavior Mastery Challenge is all about. I can assure you that you are face to face with something that is transformational. Get ready and let's go. Hello and welcome. My name is Mason I.B. West. I'm excited to have you in this class. This is the Behavior Mastery Challenge, and I can assure you that you are in for a treat. I know that you're watching this video because, number one, either you are someone battling with an addiction, a compulsion, or some kind of lifestyle issue, and you need a hands-on help with overcoming that. Or you are somebody, you're fighting with depression, you're fighting with grief, you're fighting with heartbreak, whether from a failed relationship, loss of a loved one, loss of a job, or anything that is of incredible value to you. Or maybe you are someone that you're struggling with same-sex attractions. It could be lesbianism, it could be homosexuality. Generally, maybe you are gay, transgender, cross-dresser, whatever, and you need a place where you can be helped without being judged. Maybe you are someone that is interested in helping people who are struggling with any kind of the aforementioned lifestyles and behavior issues, and you need a guide, you need a template to follow. Alternatively, maybe you are just someone, you want to expand your knowledge base. Maybe you are a life coach, you're looking forward to switch careers, or you want to acquire more skills, or it could be for a lot of reasons. But whatever your case may be and whatever category you may fall into, I want to welcome you. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm highly excited and proud to be associated with you. I've had the privilege of training and taking a lot of people through this session whose lives have been transformed in no mean dimension. And so it's always my joy to have you come in and then be part of this experience, and to be one of those people that will be empowered to take this message of hope to everyone across the world that will need it, so that one at a time we can bring transformation to individuals who need it more than they can imagine. So you're welcome. This is the Behavior Mastery Challenge. What will you learn from this program, this course? Number one, you will learn the logic of an addiction. You will learn about what your non-negotiables are, because they are going to be critical elements in navigating through lifestyles and behavior mastery. You're going to learn the power of your why and how to engineer, how to create, how to define your why. You're going to learn a lot about emotional intelligence. You're going to learn how to reprogram your mind from the subconscious. You're also going to learn how to identify your triggers and how to overcome those triggers. You're going to learn what your true identity and worth is, because they're going to be critical elements if you are going to deal with and overcome addiction. Also, you're going to learn tips on how not just to replace your behaviors, but to master your behavior. And so I welcome you to this course. It's going to be one decision, the best you've made in all your lifetime. Now, who is Mason I.B. West? Mason I.B. West is the author of the new workbook, Prison Break. Prison Break serves as the template from which Behavior Mastery Challenge was developed. I created the book, I created this course just to help people everywhere they are to be able to gain mastery and overcome and deal with behavior challenge issues and requirements, whether they are addictions, whether they are compulsive behavior issues, included but not limited to same-sex attraction. I serve as the college director at the Love Life Institute. I serve as the lead consultant to at the Behavior Mastery. I'm a pastor, an author, a speaker, a behavior and love life strategist. I created the Clarity Challenge, the Love Challenge, and the Behavior Mastery Challenge. These are all digital tools and courses with a focus on human development. I develop and exploit knowledge and information. They are the tools I work with to help people experience transformation and to succeed in their lives. My fields of interest include safety and protective behavior for teenagers, for children, and for caregivers. I build systems for healthy marital relationships and focus on freedom from addiction and homosexuality. As a matter of fact, in particular, I am committed to helping to resolve the mystery around same-sex attractions in a bid to help those whosoever need help before it becomes everlastingly too late. I've had an incredible journey of victory over addiction. Before I was 10 years old, I was sexually abused. My neighbor, who was quite older than me, had invited me to his house, stripped himself naked, and then exposed his genitals and compelled me to, give him a blowjob. I was so young, didn't know what it was. I'd not been prepared for such kind of situation, and so I didn't even know I was sexually abused. But it was only a matter of a few years. By the time I was a teenager, I had another exposure. This exposure introduced me to a period in my life when I had to battle with all kinds of addictions that were sexual in nature, whether it was pornography, whether it was masturbation, every kind of thing that you can imagine. struggling with it helplessly. In spite of as a matter of fact, I struggled with this until, I answered the call to ministry. I was still struggling till I got married. I was still struggling with, until the day and time I stumbled on a piece of information that changed the narrative. It is based on this that I have had the privilege sharing from experience and knowledge. I've had the privilege to consult with over 100 people struggling with addiction. I've had remarkable cases, including a public figure who battled with homosexuality for over 3 decades. His own journey of victory under my mentorship remains probably the most profound testimony I have had, I have experienced, I've handled one-on-one, and it continues to amaze me how simple steps, simple procedures, simple principles and tips can lead and help and empower people to experience the victory that they need. I've been privileged to train over 500 people on different behavior issues. I'm a public speaker on behavior mastery and relationships. I've spoken both locally and on international platforms. I've written over 10 books on relationship and behavior issues with over 2 decades of counseling. I've had a couple of certifications in this regard, including the Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Education and Sustainable Development certification as a master trainer, a digital teacher, and an executive coach. I believe that I've got something to share with you that will lead to transformation. You don't want to miss it. The Behavior Mastery Challenge is about one beggar showing other beggars where he found bread. The Behavior Mastery Challenge is a personal challenge that helps you to complete the circle of learning in human behavior. Now listen, learning is said to have only taken place when there is a change of behavior. Behavior Mastery Challenge is designed to challenge you to make those lifestyle changes that you've always thought were difficult or impossible, yet they are the changes that position you to reach full potential. Behavior Mastery Challenge was created just to help people everywhere they are to be able to gain mastery, to be able to overcome, and to be able to deal with behavior challenge requirements, addictions, compulsive behavior issues, including same-sex attractions and relationships. I want to thank you for making up your mind to enroll and to be part of this bundle of transformation that will leave you spellbound, because this is definitely going to be one of your best experiences in a very long time. The program usually is tailor-made for each individual depending on their peculiarity and the challenges that they've got to deal with. Generally, there are 7 modules to this challenge and is designed to last for 7 days. Each module has short video sessions that could also be accompanied by transcripts. As a matter of fact, the Prison Break workbook becomes the text that accompanies this program to guide you to the place of victory. With each module will also come behavior exercises, behavior questions, and behavior assignments. Each module will now be rounded off with a one-on-one bespoke session at the end of each day. So during the day, behavior exercises are sent to you, you respond to them, you send them on the email, on the links that are going to be provided, and then in the evening of that day, those based on the responses that you have given to the questions that has been sent in the morning, bespoke one-on-one sessions are held that will be based on the answers that you provided. It means therefore that bespoke sessions, one-on-one sessions in the evening can only hold upon completion or upon receipt of the day's exercise as you have been sent. There is a reason why sharing your personal experience, telling your story, Sharing your journey of victory is critical in the journey of behavior masteries. First and foremost, teachers don't know more than the people they teach. It's just that teachers always share what they know, and because they share what they know, they tend to know more and they tend to get deeper and get better. That is profound. Ordinarily, it doesn't make sense that you overcome a lifestyle and then you are ashamed to share about it. It doesn't make sense. Whereas you can show other people the way that you got to the place of victory. Now, one of the requirements for permanently dealing the fatal blow on cycles, on patterns, on addictions, on lifestyles, and on behaviors, especially as it has to do with that which we have overcome, is to train other people on how we overcome, especially as long as we have overcome. What it does is that it brings in that there is a check and then an enabling that sharing about your victory places on you and then helps to reinforce that victory. I share my story to empower other people. I share my story to silence accusers. I share my story to destroy permanently the appetite for going back. I was told the story of a guy. As a matter of fact, one of my friends, one of my colleagues had drawn my attention to the fact that there was this pastor that worked in his organization, and he didn't quite know that the pastor was gay. And the pastor, during the time of his service, had sexually messed up and abused a lot of the boys in the system. And without him knowing, the pastor had left. I said, oh, I'm so sorry about that. Only for another guy to contact me online to ask, a boy barely in his late teens or early 20s, somehow asked me, do you know XYZ person? Because incidentally, I know the person that the pastor was complaining about. So this young chap was asking, do you know XYZ person? I said, yeah, I know about him. And he said, my mother has told me to have nothing to do with him, but she's just not telling me what it is about him, why I should avoid him. And I'm like, why wouldn't she tell you? But I realized that there is a probability that what the other pastor was complaining about could be why the mother was asking him to avoid this man again. And so with that second, information, I became concerned. And so I contacted this man of God, and I was like, what is it I'm hearing about you? How true is this? How true is that? And then he said to me that, well, that used to be his lifestyle. Since he became a Christian and since he became a pastor, he has never engaged in that. So I took time and began to ask him who were his mentors, under whose tutelage he became a Christian, became assimilated, discipled into the Christian faith. I wanted to know his journey and the steps that he had taken. First of all, it's important to let parents know that half information doesn't. There are things you tell your children, it only creates curiosity. What does it take to say, hey, I got briefing, I probably have not confirmed that XYZ man of God is like this, avoid him so you're not sexually abused or become a victim. Why give? That child could, out of curiosity, want to know and then go and get himself involved. The second thing is that it is so important. So from my interaction with the man of God, it was obvious that while there are people who knew his history, he had not come to a junction in his life when he has turned a new leaf of life and made it known, made it public. There was something secretive about his claim of transformation. It creates room. Now we don't even know whether the accusations on him or against him were things that happened before he had become a Christian, before he had become a pastor. Now we don't even know who to believe. It's so important that if God has given you the victory over whatsoever it is that you're dealing with, through victory, that maturity, that enabling that makes you capable of being vulnerable to be able to say, this is my story of encounter with Jesus. After all, when he says you shall be my witnesses, you're supposed to be a witness of your experience with God. If there is something your encounter with God has done for you, then you want to share it so that other people will have a bite of that experience. Never forget, Jesus and Apostle Paul were two individuals that were profound in sharing their scars. They shared their pain, they displayed their scars, they showed their struggles, they shared their pain so that other people can learn from it. There is nothing wrong with letting people in on your journey of victory. I think that there is a sense in which this is one of the reasons we do not have enough examples for people to follow. If there is one area where people hide their story, it has to do with lifestyle changes, victory over addictions. Why is it that we don't hear any story, any testimony of people who have been gay, who have been homosexual, who have been involved in pornography and all kinds of stuff, coming out to share their journey of victory? It only means two things. It's either that people are really not experiencing the victory, so there's nothing to share, or that people don't just understand the extent to which whenever God enables you to overcome a thing, he lives with you. That anointing, that enabling, that empowerment remains in you and can be shared. You can become a channel for communicating that uncommon grace to the next generation. Every time God has led you to victory through any path in life, the design is that you become a channel to helping other people experience the same victory. What it does is that it reinforces your own victory. Once again, welcome to the Behavior Mastery Challenge, and get ready for uncommon transformation.